On this week's show, we'll be discussing the Mario Kart World Direct, a new Star Wars game is being teased, and the rumours are true, the gates of Oblivion are set to reopen. All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we round up all the week's video game stories and news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and up there in the digital cloud on your podcast preference of choice. Your podcast players for this week are myself, Mr. Richie, and the return of the chaotic neutral, Mr. Rob. How are you, Rob?
I'm very good, thank you. Finally got a bit of kind of breathing time away from work, so I'm kind of happy to be back, happy to be talking to you today.
I know that pain. We're going through a massive project at work, which we're unveiling in the next few months. So it really is like we're getting to the part of the project where suddenly deadlines start getting very, very tight. But also this is where any problems that have not been present earlier in the project suddenly start rearing their head, things that you've overlooked and that kind of thing. We're just like, oh God. I feel like every day there's something new that is taking my attention away. Then people chase me up and going, why didn't you get this done? It's like, because of this, this and this. So it's just that
basically reflects my life at the moment.
Yeah.
Just like people chasing you up saying, like, why is this not doing? It's like, well, because I did these 10 other things in the past day. So
on our meeting on Friday, you promised you'd have something out by lunchtime on Tuesday. What's going on? It's like, well, since I got into work on Monday, I haven't done a single thing that I planned to do.
Yeah, the curse. This is the curse of like getting like into like the Middle Ages. Well, not approaching the Middle Ages, and then like being accidentally like good at what you do. So people just like keep asking you for more stuff.
Yeah, and my job is kind of the problem solver for the company as well.
So
my department has by far the broadest scope of any department, so I always describe it as it's the department that fills in the gaps, which means when things go wrong, it's almost I'm one of the first people to find out and one of the people expected to deal with it, because this is literally what I'm getting paid for. So
yeah, so if the audience has learned anything already, it's if you want like a simpler life, aim for mediocrity, basically.
Yes, mediocrity is fantastic.
Yeah, just anonymous mediocrity is the way to go.
Yeah. And working hard won't get you more money. Sorry, kids, but it's true. Once upon a time, it probably was true. Working hard will get you more money. Now you just need a wealthy daddy, and then you can get a better paid job.
Basically, yeah. So
not cynical at all on this podcast right now, but I haven't slept much in the last few days because cats. But before we get into it, Rob, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you can hear more rants from the likes of me and Rob. And also it keeps you in the loop of all fantastic content here at GamerGuildTV, such as the return of the Clickercast, where every single Wednesday, Chris and I will be breaking down that week's episode of The Last of Us Season 2. Episode 1 went live, and this is a live show at 8 PM GMT, or BST I think it is at the moment, on a Wednesday on the YouTube channel. It will then go up as soon as possible. I think usually Chris is aiming for Thursday morning on all our podcast services. The whole backlog of the Clickercast should be available on all podcast services as well. We're aware that it hasn't been pushed to Pocket Casts. We have absolutely no idea why. We're working on it. We're contacting Buzzsprout, who are our podcast hosting company that we use. But from our end, we can't see any reason why it wouldn't be there. It's listed. It's everywhere else it should be. But for some reason, Pocket Cast isn't working. So we just ask you to bear with us on that.
Just as an aside, before I move on to the main show, like, have I been like hiding under a rock? Because like The Last of Us Season 2 just dropped, the first episode. Like,
yes.
It just completely, like, I completely missed it.
It came out on Monday.
Yeah, I didn't know like it was set for release date, and then I didn't catch any like the articles saying it was imminent. It just seemed to be out.
You might be living under a rock, although that being said, it's hard to know if the marketing, because with Chris and me planning the ClickerCast podcast, we're keeping quite a close eye on it. And on the run-up to ClickerCast, we replayed on live stream The Last of Us Part 2 Remaster. So we've been very much paying attention to it. To be honest, I've only seen adverts for it on Now TV. But I have Now TV to rewatch The Last of Us, and I'm watching Game of Thrones in the interim as well.
I think that's it, because I cancelled Now TV, and I only have, like, I watch most of my content on YouTube now, and I have premium, so like the amount of ads I actually get are very, very low.
I suppose probably what is YouTube ads, but if you're on premium, you won't see them.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that's what's happened.
Which, I mean, that just goes to like Now TV's or Sky Atlantic's or HBO's, if you're in America's, like marketing strategy, like pushing to YouTube just as ads, probably not the smartest thing. You probably do need to get some sponsored content going as well.
Yeah, like Now TV's like,
yeah,
I'd argue it's the worst of our streaming services.
There's probably billboards and stuff up as well, but who looks at billboards? Like,
yeah, true. But it's just it just surprised me when I saw like screenshots of it.
What they need to do is erect a billboard opposite your flat, so you see it every day.
Yeah, just like out that window there. That'd be good.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Like, it probably is a bit of marketing. The landscape is constantly changing, I think, at the moment for marketing.
Yeah, fair.
Like a lot of traditional marketing, I think it just doesn't work anymore. Like, yeah. And a lot of digital marketing, people like YouTube offer premium solutions to not see it.
Yeah, and I think I'm stuck in that little bubble.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the first episode? Good?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not the greatest episode of television I've ever seen, but I do feel it has a lot to do to bring people back into that world and set up new characters and the tensions and stuff that will build to the plot going forward. So it very much is a set-up episode.
This is always like the HBO formula. Like the first episode of like a new Game of Thrones season was always just, oh, by the way, remember this person's here, this person's there.
I feel the more seasons deep you get, the less you need to do it, because by that point you can safely assume you're a caring audience of versed in what's going on. But bear in mind, it's been 2 years since season 1 of The Last of Us. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will not have thought about it at all in that time. A lot of people wouldn't have rewatched season 1 because the Wii does. And a lot of people have never played the games as well, and not invest in the lore. So for like Chris and I, we know it's gonna. We have a lot of expectations for it because we know the games, we know the lore. And we're involved in it. Where if you're just a casual TV watcher, really enjoyed season 1, season 2's on, let's just put it on. Mm-hmm. You need that refresher.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And I think it done that actually quite well because it didn't give you a full recap. It just kind of set you up. Right, this is what happened. These are the main things you need to remember from season 1. Now let's get into it. Start establishing the new cast.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
But we'll talk more about that on Wednesday night on the ClickerCast. So, have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't. It's on my watch list now, but it literally just got on there like 11 o'clock last night when I saw like a meme about it.
Yeah, I'm torn as well. Actually, one thing, because Now TV release episodes weekly, where I prefer to binge shows. Like I prefer when I'm watching a TV show, I prefer to just have it all there and just watch it at my own pace. But I'm also hosting a podcast where the weekly cadence is actually much better for us.
Yeah. No, it's that's on my watch list. We're turning this into like just to talk about things we watch podcast, but whatever. Have you been following the new Daredevil?
No, I haven't seen the original Netflix ones. So I never watch any of the Marvel Netflix stuff because I thought they were all pointless. And I've heard really good things about some of them. But
I think this one's really good as well.
I don't care about Iron Fist or Jessica Jones. I've never even heard of them before. Daredevil's the one.
Fisk? Fisk is like
Iron Fist. I know.
Iron Fist. I thought you said Fisk.
No. I was like, Daredevil, of all the Netflix shows, was the one I could have watched, but I didn't have Netflix at the time because I wasn't watching anything on it, and I just never got round to it.
I would definitely recommend this season for anybody who has like a past in there. Also, Disney I never thought I'd say this, but Disney have like done the most graphic violence in a TV show I've ever seen in my life in this season. Like,
do you think that's a point? They've made a point of doing it.
But I think they got sick of all like the naysayers saying like, oh, Disney's going to PG-13 something, PG-13 this and like all that. So they've just went like kind of...
That is their reputation though, so...
Yeah, but I think they've just went in this show like, okay, fuck you guys, watch this. And it's like, we're Disney, we can do this and no one will care.
Do you think it's like, right, the remit is, for this season, this is the one where because the first season's like, the Netflix ones were quite graphic, weren't they?
Yeah.
So I think that what they've going, they've set the tone there. What you need to do is up it.
Yeah, and they completely have.
Again, just to set the tone right.
Do you like one of those scenes where you think, oh, they're going to cut away and you're just going to hear something happen?
Yeah.
Nope, it cuts away and then it takes you back into the scene. Like, whoa, yeah, very,
I
very
suppose
good.
there might be a bit more lax with stuff like that in the TV shows rather than the movies. Because the movies, they need to get people into theatres. So if it gets an 18 rating, that can be it can be nowadays as a death sentence for your audience. Because you're cutting out a huge part of your audience. Where if it's a TV show, if it gets an 18 rating, Disney know that doesn't matter to anyone.
Yeah, agreed. But no, it's very good. It's very kind of timely in terms of the themes it's talking about.
I'll add it to my list at the moment. We're rewatching Game of Thrones to start watching House of Dragon because me and my girlfriend haven't watched it ever.
Yeah. Are you going to stop at season 6 or are you going to go through to the end?
We're going through to the end. We've just watched the Battle of the Bastards.
Oh, okay, yeah. Me and Ash watched it recently, but we just stopped at the end of season 6. It's
when it starts getting shit. You do get a noticeable drop off very quickly, don't you?
When you kind of binge through it, like you like notice it so much, and it's like, is this like a different show now or something? Like,
it's weird as well. There's been scenes that I thought lasted like long. I thought Aya was blind for like a full season, but it's like 2 episodes.
Yeah, stuff like that.
That's how much it feels like it drags on.
Yeah, we still don't have a conclusion to the story.
Anyway, true. Anyway, we do. This is a gaming podcast, not a movie and TV show podcast. We did take a break from our weekly live streams last week on account of us doing the ClickerCast live on a Wednesday. We will kind of be returning this week with episode 2 of my Pokemon Blue playthrough, which will then be weekly until the end, at least until the end of the ClickerCast. But they are pre-recorded and available now for members. Well, Rob, what have you been playing?
So I finally, first of all, I have what's called perennial games, which I just never stop playing, and that's Hearts of Iron, and that's the Total War series. So the Total War series got a bunch of DLC for new legendary lords for Warhammer. So I've been playing that, all the while trying to resist the urge to buy actual physical Warhammer models because I'm just getting more and more sucked into the world. So that's always going on. I
think that was Chris when he played Warhammer, Space Marine.
Yeah, it's they know exactly what they're doing, and how they're trying to pull audiences from gaming into models. It's very smart, and it's almost working on me.
A few months ago, me, Chris and Tom, we went to a gaming convention thing, basically a market in Leeds, and we ended up in the Warhammer store. Yeah,
it brings back so many good memories. So I'm playing through the new legendary lords on that, and bear in mind those campaigns take they can take up to 30 hours each. So there's 90 hours of content when you get through on that. So that's my PC gaming. I also took the dive and I started playing Baldur's Gate 3 on PlayStation.
On PlayStation?
On PlayStation. And the reason I was kind of debating between getting it on PC and on PlayStation. But the point in my life now, I'm sat in my office about kind of a good 11, 12 hours a day doing work, tapping away at keys. And the little downtime I do have, I want to spend it on the couch, and I want to spend it kind of with my partner, kind of just
yes,
chilling out,
I 100%. So I've talked many times on this show about that's why I don't play Xbox, because there isn't an Xbox handheld equivalent of the Portal that is dedicated. Exactly
this, right? So I think I probably would have had like a more smoother experience on PC, but like just like the lifestyle elements, I chose PlayStation. And to be honest, the controls and the action wheels, they work really, really well. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I think I would say, like, it's not a spoiler, but like I'm up to the Goblin Camp at the moment. I think that's a fair game to say.
Yeah, see, I've only played the most of Act 1 on Stadia.
Okay.
So well before it came out. So, and that was probably about 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah. But no, I'm really enjoying it. I'm having to get out because recently I became a bit like a, what's the word? Like a min-maxer type gamer where I'm trying to over-optimize characters and like optimize play styles on the games I play now.
I've been there before, stuff like that, and I've letting it go is so much better. I find games more fun now I've let it go.
Yeah, but this, like, when you're playing like Hearts of Iron or something.
Yeah, if you're playing competitively, you have to do it.
Yeah, but so with Baldur's Gate, the thing I've been found hardest about the game is like, if I get like a non-optimal outcome of like a dialogue or like a course of events, I'm like, oh, I fucked this up, but I haven't, because it's just the story. Like, and I need to get like more into that mindset when I'm playing it.
Yeah, when it comes to min-maxing games and stuff, even like things like the Pokemon trading card game on my phone, I hate it because it develops these metas where if you're not using these very specific builds, you can't compete. And I think I just think it just dilutes games. It narrows games down to basically a few very specific, narrow ways you can experience and play the game if you want to be competitive. And if you try to step outside that, you can't play.
Yeah, like especially with Hearts of Iron when you're playing like multiplayer, like you just fucked if you don't like kind of. It's like a math problem more in the game, to be honest, because you're just like, okay, well I know like the mechanics of this system, because this times by 0.25, but if I click this button, then it times by 0.3, and that over the course of 2 hours will give me my
I just
advantage.
Don't have the time, patience, or dedication to a single game to do that anymore. I used to do it in my World of Warcraft days.
Yeah.
But that's when World of Warcraft was basically a hobby into itself, separate to gaming.
Yeah, I think the trouble is as I become like older, I should be becoming more chilled out, but I'm actually getting like more and more competitive about daft things. So like I'm just like it's like seeping into my downtime as well, which is
But you'll have to let us know how Baldur's Gate 3 goes on PlayStation, because I'm like you, where I've wanted it for a long time. I've held off buying my PC one because my PC, I'm not sure would run it to any sort of standards. Mm-hmm. Since playing Avowed, I'm more convinced it might be able to handle it, because Avowed played quite okay on a lot of settings, but still very much playable. Didn't look utterly atrocious. Mm-hmm. So I'm a bit more comfortable buying it on PC, but I just don't have the time to just sit here every evening and lock myself up in my office and play. Technically, I do. I technically have that, but then I'd be ignoring my partner.
Yeah,
it took me long enough to find one, so.
But it's just that thing where it's like, I know it's like probably not optimal, and like I know probably the combat and like interactions are taking a bit longer on PlayStation than they would on PC, where I can just click stuff. But like that's fine. And again,
I
the game's
200 hours into Metaphor Fantasio. If it takes a bit longer, I'm okay.
Yeah, right. And like it's a really good game. It's very immersive, and like Ash, like my partner, just enjoys sitting there and watching me play it, and like we'll take the decisions together and stuff like that. So no, I'm very happy I got it on sale as well. So that always takes the edge off.
I'll keep an eye on that, actually.
Yeah, I think it's on. You get like 2 hours. I don't know if you're on like a premium PlayStation account at the moment.
I'm not.
Like, okay, because you do get like a 2-hour game trial.
I'm debating once I sell my house and actually have spare cash, maybe upgrading. But I'm not sure I will. I'll probably upgrade if there's a specific game on PlayStation Plus Premium that I wanted to play.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's probably the thing that would make me upgrade, and then I'd probably not downgrade. Where I downgrade from Premium to Essential because I wasn't playing anything on Premium and I was trying to save money.
Yeah.
As all my bills were skyrocketing.
Yeah, so, I'm going to be honest as well, like, probably, like, this, like, is tangent, like, a tangent but still relevant. Like, the free games you've been getting on PlayStation recently just haven't moved, well, not free, but, like, included, should I say. They just haven't moved the needle for me at all.
I think Marches were decent. I can't remember off the top of the head what they were. April's a crap, but I think there has been a definite trend of that the free games that are available to everyone are not as good, but Premium exists. I think they want to push you into Premium.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But
yeah.
As for me, I finally finished Indiana Jones. I 100%ed that game on Xbox. Okay. Yep, 100% it. So that's something Chris hasn't done because Chris is an idiot and he is probably listening to this, but you're an idiot, Chris, because although you have access to the game, you're buying the game on a different console purely so you can get a platinum trophy.
That's dedication right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, how do you find it? Because I started playing it over Christmas and I got to the end of the Vatican section and I just, for some reason, never picked it up again.
Yeah. I don't know why. I get how that could happen because when you get to the end of the Vatican section, especially if you've done like a full clear of the map and all the side content and stuff, it is almost a droppable point.
Yeah, I think that combined with like I played it over Christmas when I had
then you jump in.
I'm a good amount of free time.
It's that moment where you feel like you've very much completed a section of a game. You open up and go, "Here's another map." Now you need to do largely the whole thing again. Yeah,
and like. I made a mistake of like I started like exploring like the new area. Is it Cairo? I think it is.
It's Giza.
Giza, sorry, yeah. And then like all the Nazis had like machine guns. I was like, oh, this is a bit more serious now. They're not trying to hit me with a bit of wood. They're trying to like do something bad to me.
Yeah.
So I think I need to pick it back up when I have time.
Yeah, you should, because I actually think it's one of the best Indiana Jones stories.
Yeah,
it's better than most of the movies.
Yeah, like not taking away anything they've achieved by what they've made because it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, but I kind of did the full clear of every area before moving on. I'd recommend people just power through the story because I think if you condense that story into a short period of time, I think it will actually be a very good cinematic experience.
Yeah, and I guess like you keep the urgency of
if you just kept that ticking over. And then you can go do the full clear afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Well, yeah,
so, ratings out of 10?
I'd give it like a high 8, maybe a low 9. I really did enjoy it. I think the story is incredible. You do feel like you're playing as Indiana Jones. They've done enough so it isn't just a run and gun simulator.
Yeah.
But, so if you do cock up, fights do feel tough, but not so tough where if you make a mistake, stealthing suddenly you're completely fucked. You have that balance. I think it struck that balance where you feel like, crap, I need to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
I can't rely on just destroying everything around me. I need to get out of here. But actually having the ability to get out of there.
Yeah, I think the stamina system's really well balanced.
Yeah.
Because
it's even things like...
you can't just infinity punch people to...
You don't have infinite ammo either. If once your gun's out of ammo, you can hit people with it, which is cool. But you're going to have to pick up some more ammo. Or another weapon if you want to keep fighting. And you run out quite quickly, so you might have enough ammo to take out one or two enemies to get out of there. So I think there's struck a nice balance.
That's what kind of the movies do, right?
Yeah.
He's not just like running and gunning all the time.
So it's kind of grounded without being brutal.
Yeah. I think that's a good summary.
And other than that, I'm just continuing on with Pokemon Violet. But I think, Rob, we're about 25 minutes into the podcast already, and we haven't, at least you haven't yet, introduced us to the
scrolling up, graciously gathered Gaming Guild Gazette, a.k.a. The News.
The News, and as always, our news is brought to you by our Guild Heroes, which you can join on the YouTube channel for as little 99p, where previously you would have got every single episode of the Clickercast Remastered in advance. It's now all up for everyone, and at the moment Pokemon Blue episodes 2 to 5 are locked behind that paywall, but they will be coming soon, and I will be adding more episodes as soon as I record them. All episodes I record will be up as soon as I can for premium, for members. Thank you very much for your support. Very much appreciate it. First story of the week, Rob. Oblivion is real.
Oblivion is real. From like the leakiest of leaky leaks, this has been like dropped. Right?
This is one of them where it's been leaked, it's been discussed for a long time. And like, yeah, Bethesda working on a remake, working on a remaster. It looks like it's a remaster rather than a remake. You've played Oblivion, haven't you? Back in the day.
A long, long time ago. I don't think to any of the depth that you've played it. But yeah, like I'm like lukewarm on playing it again, just because I know how deep the game is and how kind of much content's in there. Obviously, prefer the remake because that's just the nature of things. But yeah, if it comes in at like it'll be Xbox kind of Game Pass included, I'm guessing. So yeah, I might go back into the world. To be honest, like with like Elder Scrolls 3 and 4, because I played them like when I was so young, I have like difficulty distinguishing what game I was actually playing and what memories attached to each of those games. To be honest, like,
I think 3 and 4 are very different from each other.
This is the thing. So like I played them like so long ago that like I can't remember like.
I love Morrowind, but that game is weird.
Oh yeah.
Oblivion just looks like the English countryside for most of us.
I think with like number 3, do you know like in the 90s, like when like it was kind of like the hang-up from the 90s where everything was just fucking weird. Like bands like
it was
Primus
proper trippy.
Yeah, like bands like Primus were in like the Billboard top 20 songs and stuff, and like that was like an era where anything goes, and I think like number 3 kind of just spilled into that kind of mentality a bit, where it's like, yeah, this is weird, it's fine, there's no rules regarding how we make games and stuff. So I think that was a bit of a hang up from there. Yeah. But how are you feeling about it? With like obviously you're probably the biggest Elder Scrolls advocate.
Yeah. So I'm all for this. I would have preferred a full remake, to be honest, because I feel mechanically it might feel quite dated. But I feel like when I'm reading stuff about it, some of the rumours, it almost feels like a remake plus. It's not quite a full remaster plus. It's not quite a full remake, but it's not just slap it, like up-res everything, give it a new look, like lease of life, and send it back out there. Some of the mechanics seem like they could be overhauled a little bit. Like there's rumours to be better on hit animation, better mechanics around things like archery, sneaking, and blocking.
Yeah, I get that impression. Like it seems like if they just did a graphical update, I think it'll be a bit lazy.
But my guess here is it's not a remake, but it's not fully a remaster. I almost feel like they've probably ported Oblivion into maybe the same engine they used for Starfield, and then fixed what was then broken through that porting process. So things like the combat, the way it feels to play. So you're not getting a full remake of the game, which is for me is defined as you take the design docs and have another crack at it with modern sensibilities. This is somewhere between. That's what I'm hoping for, which could be a nice balance, to be honest.
Like part of me thinks like the conversation when like the execs were like, all right, just like kind of, do like refresh the game, whatever, and then the devs have been like, okay, we'll put it into this new engine, and then like they've just like the exact thing that they thought was going to happened, where it's like, no, this plays terribly, like we need to do a bit more work on this.
It doesn't play as good as you remember it playing. It'll be very much one of them games, like some games you remember absolutely adoring, and like this is like the pinnacle of video games, and you go back and play like 10 years later and goes, this is horrible, this plays so bad.
Well, I think the GTA like Vice City and like GTA 3 were that for me. But like at the time, it felt so like simple and graceful and whatever, and then you play it back and it's like, this is impossible to control.
Yeah, 100%. There's stuff like that. Even when I replayed through Ocarina of Time, there's times when that game just, you can tell it's aged. Like things like not having full camera controls is quite weird nowadays in a third-person game.
Yeah, it feels very foreign to like not be able to just manipulate it easily.
But with a game like that, once the nostalgia kicks in, you're absolutely fine. And Oblivion is probably no different for me. Although I have tried to replay Oblivion a handful of times over the years, and it just never seems to sink its teeth into me the way it did when it first came out. Yeah. Same with Morrowind, to be honest. And probably Skyrim, actually.
Yeah, I went back to like... The trouble is now, like, you don't know what version of Skyrim you remember. Like, do you remember like the original release, or do you remember
Vanilla? That's all. Like, I think that's the only one I have. I'd have to actually. I've got it on the Switch as well. Actually, Skyrim.
Yeah, because there's been like a dozen remasters and not remakes, but like refreshes with like different animations and stuff, and it's not the game that came out.
There's been so many versions, but in general, I'm actually for this, because if you haven't played Oblivion and you've played lots of Skyrim, or you're looking forward to Elder Scrolls 6. Then a remaster is probably the way to go rather than the original. Because I think if you played the original, you'd be like, what the fuck is this game? Why is it so well reviewed? But that always comes with, for me, with remakes and remasters, it always comes with the caveat as keep the original playable.
Yeah, agreed.
Which I think Xbox are pretty good at doing that. So I do think if you wanted to, you can probably go back and play the original version and probably buy the original version of Skyrim. Or you can buy the remaster, or the special edition, or the remaster, or the special edition.
Yeah.
Or the Samsung fridge version.
Fucking hell.
But,
the Bethesda like business model's been very much Skyrim focused for a while.
So I am actually, for me, I'm very interested in this. It wouldn't have been a day one purchase for me, which remakes and remasters very rarely are, especially when I already own the original. Mm-hmm. But with it being Game Pass, I was like, oh, great. I probably will be jumping into this for at least the first look on the channel when it gets announced.
Yeah,
timeline depending. As long as I'm available to do it, I definitely will be wanting to have a look at it. And you never know, it might grip me, but then it could fall foul of, say, where Avowed fell for, where it's a game where I very much went, for me, that's a PC game, not a console game. Mm-hmm. And then I played the first maybe quarter of the game on PC, and then because I was playing on PC, I just fell away from it, because don't always have, as I've already discussed, I don't like to lock myself in my office every evening.
Yeah.
So it's one of them where I don't feel like if I played it, I'd finish it. But I definitely want to play it.
Yeah, I think I put a few hours into it. And then maybe it's something I just pick up at, like, on the very infrequent.
Well, but yeah, in general, I'm happy it exists. And I'm very much going to keep an eye on what comes out more. And actually, it's worth pointing out that it seemingly is coming to PlayStation as well.
Yeah, with like the current, like Microsoft's current, like just every platform approach seems to be the case.
Did Oblivion originally come to PlayStation, or was that Xbox and PC exclusive?
I feel like at the time it would have been. I could never remember seeing
2006.
I can't remember seeing Oblivion box.
PS3. It did come to PS3.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, the original game's Metacritics were like 94 on Xbox 360 and PC, and 93 on PS3. So this is the caliber of game we talk about. Like, if you're getting towards the mid 90s and you're Metacritic, you're in the category of one greatest games of all time.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, indeed. I think we should move on, because apparently there's potentially more Bethesda game remasters in the works.
You can definitely tell they've struggled to bring new IP to the market recently.
You can, and I feel like Bethesda, like main Bethesda, not Bethesda as a publisher, take a long time to produce their games.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at the timeline between like Starfield and Fallout 76 and Fallout 76 to Fallout 4, Fallout 4 to Skyrim, there's huge gaps in there.
Yeah,
and as I think the way the industry's gone, that is harder to justify financially.
Yeah, like the cost of making a game now to burden themselves with that for mostly half a decade.
Yeah, so I feel like this is where the remasters and remakes can come in, where other studios sometimes start working on smaller titles to fill the gaps, bring back all the titles onto modern hardware and giving it a new lease of life, can be the thing that bridges the gap financially with relatively low effort. And that's why I kind of think of, if we may live in a world where remasters, and especially remasters more than remakes in this sense, need to happen so we can get these grand experiences.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
and I'm fine with it happening because I don't have to buy it if I don't want to.
Yeah,
as long as they're using it to support new IP, then I'm pretty chilled with that. It's when they stop making new IP and they just start churning out remakes for the next 10 years. That's where I would have a problem. But if they're actively working on new things, then I think it's a relatively smart decision.
Yeah, so this story kind of came about because a few years ago there was a massive leak of Xbox stuff, which has turned out to be almost exclusively true. Oblivion Remastered was on that list, as was Fallout 3.
Yeah.
So as more and more leaks about Oblivion Remaster are coming out, there's arguments to make that are claiming that Fallout 3 Remaster would also make sense.
I think it would. I was actually really surprised because I'm used to playing Fallout 3 with a couple of dozen graphical mods on it. So it really brings it up to a somewhat acceptable modern standard. But if you go back to the actual vanilla game as you get when you kind of buy it, it's very, very, very grey. It's very flat. There's no obviously there's ways you can do those types of environments, those desolate environments, without it just being completely samey and forgettable. So I think Fallout 3 always stood out because Fallout 3 is the game that really put Fallout on the map. Fallout 1 and 2 are very different games to Fallout 3. Fallout 3 turned it into what most people see as Fallout nowadays, as that mainly first person, but can play in third person, open world action RPGs. Where I feel when Fallout 1 and 2 more top down turn based kind of things. Yeah, they were kind of isometric as well to a degree. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I think that came from, to add keep a bit of turn based element in there.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think with Fallout 3, it's like Grand Theft Auto 3. That's very grey and lifeless nowadays. Where I think at the time it's oh god, this game's amazing, but then it doesn't stand up anywhere close to the likes of how vibrant Vice City or how intricate Grand Theft Auto 4 were.
Yeah,
I feel like Fallout 3 is in that category.
Yeah, and I'd say other games of that era fell into the similar trap. Gears of War 1 was a very grey
already
game.
Remastered.
Yeah, so
yeah,
but I think that's just I think I was very thematic at the time, wasn't it? Kind of that.
Yeah, we have a full playthrough of that on the channel actually.
Yeah, nice.
And Gears of War 2.
You played the third one yet?
No.
Oh,
it's on our list of things to play. We just haven't got around to it.
Get the tissue box ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, but as I say, I think number 3, when I actually reacquainted myself with the actual graphics of the game, not what's been modded to the nth degree now. I'd agree. It's time for actually no, just buy the mods that have been released from the mod developers. Just give them a big chunk of cash and just release that, because if you know how to mod the game and you know where to go, you don't actually need to get the remastered version.
Didn't Bethesda try to do that before, where they tried to like go, okay, guys, you can mod the game, but you need to give us money for us? And the internet went, fuck that.
Yeah, like the exact opposite of what they should do. It's like, this mod's great. Can we give you like £10,000 for it, please? Like, that's... Yeah.
They just tried to like... So it's one of them... I've always felt it was one of them weird things where it's like, especially if you're playing on PC, which they try to do it on as well, it's like, mods already existed. You can just go mod the game to your heart's content. That is part of the benefit of playing PC games. Mm-hmm. That will always exist. Then Bethesda went, oh, you guys like modding? We're going to let you mod, but now you have to pay us. And the PC community went, but why would we pay you for something we can already do?
Yeah, it's like we're giving like your old games like far more like years and years more kind of legs and play base. And like now you want to, it's such a dumb decision.
I feel like if I was Bethesda, I would have been looking at it and going, right, we're going to look at what are the most desired mods, the most downloaded. Mm-hmm. We're going to contact them developers. We're going to pay them a single lump sum. And then what we're going to do is we're going to then port them to Xbox and to PlayStation.
Yeah.
And then maybe charge people on PlayStation.
Yeah, like
or maybe you just go, right, we'll take it, we'll port it, but we'll give you a royalty. We'll give you 10 pence for every download or something.
Yeah,
and we'll charge you 99p.
And you have to realise as well, like most people who play games, like modding's, I probably assume it's like less than a fraction.
It's a love letter to the game. I always think.
Right. And like the people who are doing these modding projects are like insanely talented. They've already got like at this point years and years of feedback for their specific changes. So like the actual value of the work they've done is like insanely high. And like why would I can't see like the logic not to get involved in like formalising some of those things.
I might be wrong in misremembering this, but I feel like Portal was started off life as a Gary's mod. Like fan thing, and then Valve loved it and brought them in-house, give them the budget, and that's where Portal 1 came from.
Yeah.
But I always think that's like, instead of like companies being litigious when people try to mod games and they try and put things in place to prevent people, let them do it, because what you're doing is you're now creating that platform to develop great game developers.
Yeah.
And it's not costing you anything. So then you can just go, oh, you like our games, you're really good at developing in our engine, come work for us.
Yeah, and it's super simple as well for competitive games, because you turn off like kind of trophy generation for when you're using mods, and then you just don't let mods be used in any competitive setting. It doesn't harm anybody.
I wouldn't even care about trophy generation. If people want to cheat the way to trophies, that's on them.
Yeah, but people like Chris would be furious if there's like someone's getting platinums with like a modded game version. I can just anticipate that.
It wouldn't bother me in the slightest. That's like, I think that's more a reflection on them. They go every time they look at the platinum and trophies and go, I didn't earn that.
Yeah, but
anyway,
they have the list.
Anyway, let's keep the things ticking over with Mario Kart World. So we had a Nintendo Direct specific to Mario Kart World. I'm going to take a wild punt and say you didn't watch the Direct.
I did not. I'm so far out of the Nintendo ecosystem at this point.
Right. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I didn't watch it either.
Okay. Next story.
I've got a decent breakdown from Nintendo Life, so we can go through the main hits that came out of it for like what's going to be the flagship title to launch the Switch 2. I'm reading from Nintendo Direct, who summarised it. But basically, they went into some of the new courses, so they get a selection of new courses, including specific call-outs to Mario Bros. Circuit, Crown City, Salty Speedway, Starview Peak, Boo Cinema. Honestly, most of them don't mean anything to me. I didn't play Mario Kart 8 though. There's also some fan favourites coming back towards Factory Peach Beach and Wario Shipyards. Again, not overly familiar with them. My memory of Mario Kart is mainly stuck in 64. I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, mine too.
Characters, obviously Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser and Yoshi have been confirmed. Some new drivers, Goomba, Spike, Cow and Lakitu have been confirmed. I think Cow's the most surprising there. You get to play as a cow. Oh.
Maybe you're assuming it's a cow. It might just be called.
Yes,
cow.
It could be the name of a character called Cow. I am not sure. But game mode. So this is where they started because they've changed up the form. I don't know if you're aware, but they have changed up the formula a bit for Mario Kart. So they're making Mario Kart kind of open world.
Okay.
So with the Grand Prix mode, you do have your tracks. Same as you always had. 4 tracks for your Grand Prix. Whoever wins gets the podium kind of thing.
Okay.
But now you can drive between tracks. So once you finish the race, you drive to the next race.
Oh, it's like a Need for Speed Underground 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I can get behind that.
There's the rumour that Rainbow Road will be an unlockable track once you completed all the main Grand Prix Cups. I'm not sure how I feel about the drive between tracks thing. I'm not sure.
It depends how it's done because they're so like thematically different, right?
Yeah, but I feel like one of the beauties of Mario Kart is you're in and out. You can be in and out quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I assume
it feels like that's just. It feels like you're just traveling from one place to another, and I don't feel like that should be. It's going to be interesting considering there's like a free roam mode anyway.
Yeah.
So if you want to go maybe if there's collectibles in the world, something you can just free roam.
Yeah, so I guess it depends how it's done and if there's a shortcut to it.
Yeah, but if everyone starts taking shortcuts and going the quickest route they can to get to the next race, well, what's even the point? Just get them straight into the next race. That's where I kind of am with the Grand Prix mode. I feel like it's probably an unnecessary addition. I'm not against the open world stuff in general for things like Knockout Tour. So Knockout Tour basically is a new mode where, because the maps are these big open worlds now, you basically race from one part of the map to another part of the map, and that throughout the route there's checkpoints. And at every checkpoint, the bottom 4 races get cut. So it's like an elimination. So the last 4 races get eliminated at every checkpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like obviously like this series is almost as old as we are at this point.
Yeah.
I guess there's always a struggle between bringing out a new game, which they have to do because that's just commercially what they have to do.
Well, Mario Kart 8 was launched on the Wii U.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But also like finding enough and like thinking of enough new modes and new content and new formats to actually keep it fresh. And I think as the game keeps going and going and going, there's always going to be struggles where, if you release this game and you just had a few new characters and a new shell, people will be furious because I think it would come across as lazy. So I guess they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, aren't they, to a degree?
I don't know if that's true for Mario Kart because of how long Mario Kart 8 was supported. Yeah, I don't feel like anyone playing Mario Kart 8 would be aggrieved that Mario Kart World is coming out because I think the general consensus is it's about time. It's not like you're playing something like you start getting into like an MMO and then they release the second edition of that MMO like 2 years in and you have to buy another full price game. You've had like 10 years of Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, fair one.
Yeah, so
that's that.
So I think I don't know. I haven't played it, so the driving between tracks and Grand Prix doesn't seem an odd choice. I like the idea of Knockout Tour. I think this showcases the big open world a bit better probably than the Grand Prix mode. So I probably would have kept the Grand Prix mode as traditional as possible. Knockout 2 is going to be your big new experience. But I've got a feeling, because they've dropped the number, that this could now be a platform going forward.
Okay, so probably, yeah.
Yeah, with Mario Kart 8, I think I'm right in saying that this was the first one where they started adding things like DLC tracks and stuff in. So I feel like Nintendo have tested the water there. It's worked well for them, so now they've redeveloped what Mario Kart is to be more of a platform. So I think it is the right game to launch a Switch 2 on, because then now they can support this game for the entire length of the Switch 2. Mm-hmm. And maybe once a year bring out a DLC pack with maybe a new race or two, maybe some new courses, and maybe a new Grand Prix. There's all sorts they can do. They can bring in characters from other Nintendo IP, potentially even third-party IP. Get Sonic in there, why not?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So it feels like this could be an ongoing platform.
With that in mind, how do you feel? Obviously, like the rumoured price, I don't know if it's rumoured or confirmed yet, but like we're looking like $80.
It's confirmed.
Probably confirmed. Like, how do you think like that stacks up against what we've seen?
It depends what lens you look at it from. If you look at it compared to other like AAA like games, first party games, I think Sony's top end games are looking at about $70 at the moment. Mm-hmm. So it is definitely on the expensive side. However, this is a game that if you buy it, you're probably putting literal hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into.
Yeah.
And I feel like by the time you get the Switch 3 or the successor, whatever the successor to the Switch 2 is announced, I feel like you'd probably look back on that 80 quid as money well spent.
I think that's
unless you bought it, played it for a week or two, and then just left it catching dust. It comes down to, it's that value proposition of, I feel like this game should have the legs, because every single Mario Kart previous to this one has had it, mm-hmm. to warrant the price in the long term. Yeah, so I think it comes down to your frame of reference.
Yeah, because I guess it's not like a Call of Duty kind of 80.
That being said, it is very expensive and I don't like it.
Yeah, well, because it's more expensive.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate a bit, because I've seen loads of people slamming the price, but I can also see justification for it.
See, I think this is the thing with Nintendo. Like, they're not trying to migrate a player base to a new version every year or every 18 months, and then try to charge like $80 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think
it's an experiment as well.
Yeah.
Because
it's a test to see how the market reacts to it as well, right? Because then every other my worry is that every other gaming company will see this. If it does well, it will sell well, but how well against expectations?
But it'll sell well because it's Mario Kart.
Yeah, right. But
this is the thing where I think the data could be skewed, and it comes down to you need to properly analyse this. You can't just go, Mario Kart sold well $80. Let's slap $80 and everything.
No, but I think that's a risk of what will happen.
Oh yeah, because if it does, whoever's making them decisions needs to fire whoever came up with them decisions, because they're idiots. It's misinterpreting the data.
I don't think it will be a bad decision though from a commercial perspective, because I think what happens as soon as one thing breaks that barrier, I think it becomes that barrier's broken, and like then other AAA titles will start to like take lead of that. I think that's what's going to happen.
I'd also argue that as the world's becoming more and more expensive, people have less capital to disposable income to spend on games. As the price of games go up, even though the cost to develop goes up, it becomes less enticing, and a lot of the younger generation tend to be going for free-to-play mobile games.
Yeah.
So if I think you're at risk of pricing yourself out of the market, and while you might slap another $10 on your price tag, if you lose a significant chunk of your sales because of that. Mm-hmm. Or people just go, you know what, I'm not going to buy the game at $80 day and date. I'm going to wait till next year when it's discounted to $60. Your game's flopped out the gate, and you've made less money overall.
I guess this is the thing where it's like the majority of like buyers are like, we don't really know like what percentage of people are kind of like super passionate day one or even like month one purchasers, do we? Because like I would wait for sales all the time. I don't buy games day and day anymore, to be honest,
but
unless it's
a lot of But I think the companies, especially like those who are publicly traded, less so than the first party ones, do have to present every year their numbers to shareholders, and the shareholders want to see, when a big game comes out, a massive jump in the share price. Because a lot of these people, let's be fair, are in it purely for the monetary thing. They're not in it because they're interested in video games.
Oh no, like, well,
Which
it's like,
I think it's the Ubisoft problem, but
I mean, like, when we talk about shareholders for these big companies, like, we always like imagine these like big fat old people in suits, like, squeezing money out of companies. But in reality, it's like a lot of pension funds are in gaming companies, right? Like,
yeah,
and like there's a need for them to make money, and that's like when you go public and your valuation essentially turns into some mythical figure based not on reality. That's a price you pay.
I think, yeah, and the problem I think sometimes in creative industries, going publicly trading your shares now puts you at the beck and call of people who are not interested in your creative output. They're interested purely in your financial output.
Yeah. And I argue that's why, like, the
focus on the financial output. I think sometimes focusing on the short-term financial output can be worse than focusing on the short-term creative output in terms of your long-term revenue.
Yeah, I'd agree. But it's probably why
it's complicated.
It's why the middle market kind of independent studios are bringing out arguably the better titles more consistently, I'd say. Right?
Yeah. It's companies like Larian took a risk with Baldur's Gate 3 and smashed it.
Yeah, but they've never ever been able to do that.
But Ubisoft couldn't take the same risk.
No. And like, that's to a degree that's fair enough because of different entities, right? But
going back to Mario Kart World, the reason why I say looking at this financially, you need to be very careful with your analysis is because this is a bundling title on launch for Switch 2, and I dare say a good proportion of the people buying this game in this first year will be buying the bundle.
Yeah.
Because rather than an $80 title, I think the bundle is about $30 more, $40 more expensive than just the console with no software to play.
This is the thing, like, who actually is going to be buying this game independently?
Yeah, I dare say at least 50% of people who are buying a Switch 2 on launch are buying the Mario Kart World version.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Like, you need a game to play.
Especially with that premium price tag, you're going, well, I could pay $80 for a game, or effectively I could pay $40, and I want a new game to play on my new console.
That's probably the play, actually. It's just
would completely skew the data. So if you're taking this very much Mario Kart World sold 18 billion copies in the first few months at $80, that's not actually what happened.
Yeah.
What it did is it sold 17.5 billion copies as a part of a bundle.
Yeah, that's a very
so
good
it's
point,
just
actually.
I don't know. I feel sometimes like you have to be careful with your analysis when you're making decisions, and sometimes feel like companies are quite reckless and don't see the full picture.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or the skew the numbers. Me and my girlfriend been talking about Ubisoft actually, and interestingly enough, she's got the platinum in Assassin's Creed Shadows, but she hasn't done a lot of the content, and it got me thinking. Is like the reason I think this is. I think what Ubisoft have done is they've dropped the requirement to get the platinum to juice the numbers of people getting the platinum, because percentage of people getting the platinum looks good for shareholders.
Oh yeah, because like, look how invested people are in this game.
But then they've kept the huge amount of content, so people who just want to complete everything that game has to offer are still getting your 150 hours experience. So it's having your cake and eat it both. We're going, this is how average play time, this is how many people finished the game, and all these numbers are getting juiced just by moving the threshold. It's about.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but anyway, items in the game. The coin shell is making a return, as is the ice flower. Hammer. So I think these actually
those are new ones, aren't they?
These are new ones, yeah. So coin shell drops coins in your path. Ice flower freeze enemies as expected, basically the fire flower but with ice mode on. Hammer, which is surprising considering the Hammer Bros have been part of Mario forever, is a new one, so you can throw hammers that remain on the ground for a short while. The Mega Mushroom is a returner, which makes you big. Feather makes a return, which gives you a big jump, helping you dodge attacks. And Kamek transforms other rivals into other races of things. They've also mentioned food, so like picking up snacks on the road, you can unlock costumes. So I think food's going to be kind of your collectibles, and you probably trade them in the store, kind of thing. I imagine stuff like that will be in the open world. There's a few new tricks, including the charge jump and the wall ride. More interestingly, you can now rewind during a race. Not sure how... This reverses your movement, so you can go back and nail a jump or shortcut you miss. However, I'm reading this directly from Nintendo Life. Everyone else keeps moving forward, so you're not rewinding the full game, you're just rewinding you, which has been quite present in a lot of racing games nowadays anyway. Other modes, time trials, versus races, and the return of battle mode. Which, how has battle mode been missing? And obviously free roam.
I guess it depends on the amount it was utilised. I imagine, because I knew battle mode stayed quite similar for a long time. There's less you can do with it than the races, I guess. But I'm good to see it back. That was always my favourite mode in the original Mario Kart.
Yeah. So let's move on to our third story of the week. Marathon finally gets a full reveal from Bungie and will release on the 23rd of September, with alpha tests beginning this week. Where you're at with Marathon, Rob? Do you have any idea?
Complete disinterest, to be honest. I'm going to, there's a couple of things in it for me. First off, this kind of extraction shooter, I think, is just at a point of, saturation. Yeah. It's been done to death. And there's if you want to play an extraction shooter, there's plenty I can play already. Which isn't to say that's a death knell for a game, but I think when it looks relatively forgettable, it's a problem. I think it'll actually play well. Bungie make the shooters and mechanics will be great, but I don't have confidence that they'll be able to support it long term. I think if you look back at Bungie's history, they put these types of games out there, and the support just seems to drop off. More so since they've been acquired, and I think that's Sony's direction as well, right? So
I feel with most games as a service styles of game, if you're the first out or you're the best of the early ones out, you end up having the staying power. Everyone else, regardless of the quality, doesn't seem to last long.
Yeah, and this doesn't look particularly innovative, I'd say.
Yeah, that was kind of my point. Is I'm not into these games, so I might be missing lots of interesting stuff that people are who are into these games see. But it looks, apart from graphically, it looks like every other extraction shooter I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's shooters, and you've got some magic abilities or some shit like that.
I'm not seeing the unique selling point. I'm not seeing the reason why you'd switch over from something else that you're playing to this. Apart from the fact it's made by Bungie.
Yeah, exactly that. And again, I think it'll be technically a great game.
Yeah, I'm not down that.
Great, but it's just
I'm not seeing anything bad. There's nothing I'm seeing going, oh God, why they're doing that. And Bungie, if you've played Destiny, when it comes to gun mechanics, they're amazing. Destiny 2 has some of the best gun mechanics in any game I've ever played. Just right, I don't think that's overplaying it, so I'm expecting Marathon to have on par with Destiny 2, which is basically, I think Destiny 2 and Call of Duty kind of have and probably Rainbow Six Siege, have the kind of, this is the bar for gun mechanics nowadays.
Yeah.
And anything else, if it doesn't reach that standard, feels a bit off.
I think for me, this, the best kind of equivalent I can think about this is that a pizza shop opens a few doors down from you. It does the same kind of 10-inch, 12-inch standard size. Pizza's pretty good, but it'll attract a small.
I'd say the pizza's absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's never going to transform into something else, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the...
Yeah. Where I think pizza's an interesting analogy. Rob has actually died for a moment, so I will continue his analogy. So he mentions a pizza analogy. There's a pizza shop not far from where I live that started doing... They only do 16-inch pizzas. They only do New York style. Mm-hmm. And they do a proper, stone-baked New York style pizza. So a million pizza shops open up in my town all the time. And none of them have any sort of interest. Probably most of them are fronts for drugs.
Yeah.
This one I'm thinking about, it's gorgeous. We go there all the time because it's done something slightly different.
Yeah, which I don't think this has.
It's went, what is the competition doing? So most of the pizza shops do pretty much copy and paste of everything they do. Cheap ingredients, cheaply made, cost a small fortune. So when we're going to charge a bit more, we're going to use good quality products, we're going to make a high quality thing, and the only other competitors they have really are Pizza Hut and Domino's now. Yeah,
exactly. So I think that's the way to go, and I don't think Marathon's done that, so it's just going to be a complete hard pass for me.
Yeah, I think this game is... I feel like it's doomed. Is Marathon a paid... I think it is a paid game as well. I think it's a full price game.
I don't think it's full price. I imagine it'll come in like middle of the road type of maybe $50.
So Marathon is not set to be free to play. Their price, I don't think, has been announced. GameSpot are saying Marathon won't be full priced. It was reported that Marathon would cost $40. Is $40 too steep? Because these games, regardless of quality, live and die based on the player base.
Yeah,
if you don't get enough people in early days, people look and go, it's a dead game. You have to get people in the door straight away, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think I don't think it's ever going to be that.
Because it could be $20, but if you're looking at, you're interested in it, and it's a $20 game, and it doesn't have much of a player base, if you're kind of going, I'll wait to see how it does, that people hesitating before they spend, they won't spend.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of hope for this game's sake and for Bungie's sake, this goes to PS Plus as a monthly game when it comes out. Get that initial... You'll lose money on your initial month, on your opening period, but you'll help establish a better player base, which will give it legs.
Yeah, you lose a hell of a lot more money if no one plays it at all.
But I think with games of service, if you're looking at this game financially, purely you want this, how big is that initial spike? I think you're looking at it wrong. You need to look at it, what is its legs over time? Because that's the point of games as a service, not to be this massive spike in your bookkeeping, but to be a constant thing that your accountants add on every single month.
Yeah, agreed.
Interestingly enough, though, PlayStation is getting another price rise in the UK and Europe. Joy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, like I'm completely numb to seeing price increases on stuff now. Like I'm just, it's broken. It's like nothing's getting cheaper. Wages aren't going up, and this is just another story on top of that.
So in the UK, it's gone up by £40, up from $390 to $430. That's for the digital edition, or up from €450 to €500, if you prefer. There's also price increases in Australia, New Zealand. It sucks. I don't really have much more to say about it, but it sucks.
Yeah, it sucks, but like in the context of everything else that is getting more expensive, it's not outside the realms of norm. I don't think it
isn't. But surely the problem is, as you touched on, like the price of everything is going up and wages aren't. So surely things like entertainment industry needs to be very, very careful before they get to break. We've already talked about the Switch 2 game price. And when your people start getting pressed for financially feeling really, really restricted, premium entertainment products are the first things that cut.
Yeah, agreed.
I feel like, I know I get Sony looking at their account and going, we need to increase the price of it. Nintendo are doing that for their games. but you're pricing people out of the market, and these should be mass market. The point of consoles are mass market products. Otherwise, just buy yourself a gaming PC, you have a better experience.
Agreed, yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm too scared to look at the price of GPUs after all like the bullshit recently. I'm not even going to try to.
I don't know. I think for a modern GPU, you probably need to be looking towards £1,000.
Yeah.
For something
like
something worth buying.
That has a few years in it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I know like why it's happened. Like, I think a lot of honestly, like the news, like the reaction to the news is like universally negative. I think I'm a bit softer on the reasons why, because I know like companies like Sony and big companies like that, they don't necessarily like when you say a company's made billions and billions of profit. Oh god, I sound like Trump then. Like when you say a company's made like billions in revenue or profit, like that seems really impressive, but all these companies are run on like fractions of percentage points. So it's like if the cost of the goods is like knocked down a certain percentage somewhere, then like it needs to be made up somewhere else. Like, so.
Yeah, it just feels a lot of this is unsustainable.
Oh yeah, welcome to like
where I sympathise with a lot of businesses, but where my sympathies start to fall apart when it comes to shareholders seem to be unfairly protected. You never really hear about shareholder dividends taking massive drops because of a bad year. They'll still take their money, and then the companies that I do think lead to companies buckling under the pressure.
Yeah, it's an impossible dynamic, because then if you don't kind of reward shareholders, people sell the stock, which then makes it go down anyway.
Yeah, you need to care about your shareholders, but you also, I think you need to educate shareholders to go, because every shareholder should know if a company has a bad year, that the share price would go down, which means you lose money, but you haven't really lost money, because if your money's still in the shares, you still same number of shares. If you have a good year next year, your money's back.
Yeah, but then also the trouble is like CEOs only stick around for like 2 years, and you only need to like shuffle. It's why creative industry shouldn't be public companies, basically. In a nutshell.
I think it can happen, but I think you need to probably lock in any share purchase for at least 5 years. Like if you buy shares, you're locked in for 5 years. You can't just. You need to get away from the short-termism of stocks and shares.
But then again, no one would buy the shares in that case.
But the people who would buy them are the shareholders that you want. I don't know. It's difficult. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
it just feels very unsustainable. It feels like this is very, very precarious.
Yeah, I mean,
which is a shame for a creative industry.
I guess the silver lining is that most people who want a PS5 already have one, right? So breakage is an issue, but I'm hoping it's not going to affect many people. The interesting thing is it's not happening in the US. I don't get that. This is
Sony's headquarters in the US. We think of them as a Japanese company, but the headquarters are in the US.
Yeah, but you'd expect the same. I guess like the US has been doing a bit better recently. Well, not recently, but recently. They've been a bit stronger than UK and Europe anyway. But I don't know. It sucks, but I understand why it's happened.
I think this could be a case of we're having to put the price up because of tariffs, but because they're registered and their headquarters are in the US, it's protecting the motherland, really. They're protecting. Japan's probably not seeing it because there's probably no way Sony could countenance Japan doing that, because Sony is a Japanese company, but PlayStation is based in the US. Yeah. So these two countries are protected, so the money's got to come from elsewhere, out of them spheres of influence.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. We'll see.
It's shit for us who don't live in Japan or the US. But moving on to Cronos, The New Dawn, it's had its gameplay reveal, and this is the horror game from Bloober Team, who, interestingly enough, I find it funny that Bloober Team announced before that they were done making shitty games. That is an actual statement they made.
Fair enough.
So it's a PS5 survival horror game. Have you had a look at the trailer at all, Rob?
I did, yeah. And this is something I've been following because it's a genre I quite like.
Thank God for that.
It's still, it's one of those games which I won't play. I won't probably buy full price just because I don't need a game to play when it's released.
Yeah, but you've also said in this show that you don't tend to buy games full price anyway. So
exactly right. So it'll be definitely something I check out. I'm just not sure when, I guess. But no, like in terms of mechanics and general themes and just aesthetic, looks like a really, really solid title for a market that, well, like a genre, I guess, which has been overdone to some degree, but this just seems like a good one to get into.
I don't think it has been that overdone. There is some big titles in the survival horror genre.
Yeah, I guess that's.
But it's not like there's not like a billion of them. Well, I think there probably is at the AA standard. But it's getting comparisons to like Resident Evil or Dead Space, which are not bad comparisons to have.
Yeah,
I think it looks incredible for someone who isn't me.
Yeah, you and Chris aren't the biggest.
Chris is getting more into. Chris is definitely getting more into them since we've played Resident Evil on the channel. I'm a coward. I don't mind admitting that. So I was like, I can very, very much appreciate this game for what it is and what it does, but I don't want to have that experience.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, right?
Yeah. So I think it's one there very much worth keeping an eye out on. But it's been rumoured for a while. Well, it's been announced for a while, but it's nice to actually see some gameplay. And it does feel like it's holding up to not a shitty game. The polish seems to be very, very much there.
Yeah, I'd agree on that.
Yeah. Oh, keep moving on. Star Wars Zero Company is fully revealed as Star Wars meets XCOM strategy game. So this is from a team that parted ways with Firaxis. So the people make like XCOM, and they've announced their Star Wars strategy game, which is Star Wars Zero Company. Don't know much about this. We've only got a single image that I could find so far. Have you ever played like an XCOM game?
It
feels like they could be. Yeah, I was going to say it feels like it could be very, very much up your alley. This game.
Yeah, I love the XCOM games. I mean, I'm kind of interested in this kind of where it's been announced, and I've got a bit more information from it. My biggest thing is like I'm not like super hot on like the Star Wars IP at the moment. Just because I feel like it's been like there's been more misses than hits for a long time, right? I'd say
yes. In the movies and the TV, but I think when it's come to the games in recent years, the quality's been there.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Jedi Survivor being obviously the biggest exponent.
Yeah. So I think I'll keep an eye on this. But the question I'll always be asking myself is that if I want to play this type of game, I can just go back to the XCOM series, which has, for me at least, like
8 billion different.
It's got like such a high replayability factor.
You could also play Mario plus versus Rabbids or whatever it's called, and you switch to if you buy one.
I could also do that.
It's technically an XCOM style game.
Yeah, technically. In the same way that, like, I think seals are the biggest. Like, seals are most closest, like, genetically close to bears when it comes to animals.
And then there's like Marvel's Midnight Suns, was it? That was an XCOM style.
Yeah, I never checked out Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
Again, because I was just like, I'll just play XCOM because XCOM's fantastic.
Yeah. I feel like most companies, when it comes to these like turn-based strategy RPGs, single-player turn-based tactics games, as this Eurogame article refers to them, I think they set their expectations correctly. They know these aren't going to be the biggest sellers ever.
Yeah, very niche.
And they're happy for that, their niche game, and they're happy for them to be that, which I think is actually very healthy for the industry, because it means these games can't survive without unfair expectations placed on them.
Yeah, agreed.
I feel like that argument would fall down if Square ever made one, because Square seem to have unrealistic expectations for everything. But
But no, I think there's a niche for it, and I think if you bring a couple of thousand people over from the Star Wars universe off the back of the IP, it's not a bad thing. But I'm just not sure if it's for me being so like sucked into that kind of genre. Interesting. Would this make you pull into this type of game?
I feel if I wanted to play one, this might be the one I'd go for because I am a Star Wars fan. So it's that layer of the IP, and because it is from people who were involved with Firaxis, so I'm expecting the quality to be there. I'm always being one where I kind of think if you're going to make an IP game, the gameplay has to stand up independent of the IP. The IP should be what elevates the game, which is where I think things like Harry Potter, things like Hogwarts Legacy worked so well. Mm-hmm. I think that game would have worked without Harry Potter, but because it's a Harry Potter game, that's what made it special.
Yeah,
Jedi Survivor, if you take the Star Wars IP out of it and made it more generic, you're not going to sell as many copies, but it's still going to be a good experience there.
Yeah.
So I think that this could be one of them where the gameplay is going to be solid because it's made by people who know how to do that. But the Star Wars IP could be that little cherry on top of the cake that gets me more interested. Mm-hmm. I'm not rushing out to play it though, because it's not a style of game I've ever really dabbled in at all, to be honest. But yeah, I think I'd be interested in giving it a go if I felt like playing a turn-based tactics game.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we'll have to see.
I keep calling it an RPG, but they're not RPGs, are they?
There's like tiny RPG elements to it. But yeah,
well, few quick stories to round up the show, Rob. Metal Gear Solid is coming in concert to the UK.
Honestly, I saw this and I thought it was like a bit of like a weird joke story. But
no, this is a genuine thing. Like, it's going to premiere at the Royal Albert Hall this year.
But then like I think I look back and I think all the soundtracks are insanely well done. Like when I look back to like my kind of favourite Metal Gear moments, I think of obviously like the theme when you get caught is one, but then there's the fight where you're from number 4. Did you play number 4?
I didn't.
So in number 4 there's a brilliant.
I've played 1, 2. I've played 1, 2, and 5.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's fair game for Swallows at this juncture, but like you're on the top of like a crashed submarine. There's like the sun's rising, and like Snake and Liquid are just like old men punching the shit out of each other, and like the soundtrack to that is like insanely good. Obviously, like number 3 has the Snake Eater song. Like, I think this could be really good actually. So I'm not eliminating buying tickets myself, to be honest.
I've just brought up the ticket price to have a look. So tickets range from £30 up to £90. There's only one listed showing on the Royal Albert Hall website at the moment, which is the only place it's currently announced, to the best of my knowledge. So it's on Saturday, the 1st of November this year. Okay. There's a showing at 2:30 in the afternoon and 7:30 in the evening. Both of them have tickets prices ranging from £30 up to £90. Which I don't actually think I've never been to Royal Albert Hall, but I don't think there's a bad seat in the house for what is predominantly a musical event.
Yeah, there's not going to be. It's very good when it's like very, very few like obstructed views. Like you get like the bad angles, obviously, but that's about it, really. Yeah. So
the Rousing Circle, the most expensive seat at the front, is £50.
Yeah. You can get a box for like 85. That's not too bad.
Yeah, the Grand Tier boxes are 90. The stalls, you're getting in 75, which, to be honest, if I was looking to buy and I was thinking about the stalls, I would probably just pay the extra money for a box.
It's not bad
because
at all, is it? Like,
when you're 75 quid in, why not just push it up to 80, 90?
Yeah.
The arena, 65 for both front and rear. I think this is okay. Prices. We may need to talk off camera.
Yeah, I'm very tempted by this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a chat with Chris and potentially Tom and our partners. A trip to London in November might be on for my birthday.
That would be good. Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, because me and Chris are going to Chris, Nat, and Chris's brother Lee are going to the PlayStation 1 next week.
Oh, nice.
In Gateshead.
Yeah.
So yeah, this could be one that's very much on the cards.
Agreed.
And to be honest, the rousing circle, I think is perfectly fine. Like,
honestly, I think if you strap for if someone's like strapped for cash, this is like it's fairly accessible, right? Like,
yeah,
45, 40, even like 30 quid for a restricted view, but you can still hear everything. I think that's.
Yeah. I'd maybe be tempted to stump up for the arena, which is 65 quid, but I think there's a lot more limited there. But you know what? Yeah, we definitely need to talk off camera about that. But it's something that's happening, and clearly me and Rob are both interested in it. So
yeah,
I love these kind of things. So I've done the Final Fantasy one. I did the Pokemon one before. Actually, the Pokemon one I did was with our friend Lee, not Chris's brother, a different Lee, at the Hammersmith Apollo in London.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Made a weekend of it. I did the Final Fantasy one. We're going to the PlayStation one. It's like I really, really want the Zelda one.
Yeah. It's quite good as well because it's like a taste of high culture, but without like all the wankiness of it. Like we get those types of events.
Yeah, so I can say I've been see like the London Symphony Orchestra, and then like high society. Oh, really? What did you see? Pokemon. And to round up the show, Last of Us Season 2 we talked about at the start of the show, just in general. So very, very quickly touching on this, but Season 1 is outperforming Season 2 on this first episode with 5.3 million same-day US viewers cross-platform compared to 4.7 for Season 1. So, seemingly going well.
Yeah,
I think the telling, though, will be how long if it contains them numbers.
Yeah,
because everyone enjoyed Season 1's going back to Season 2's first episode.
Yeah, I think a good Episode 1 Season 2 is reflective of the quality of Season 1 for sure, right? I
feel the most telling number actually will be Episode 2's numbers.
Yeah.
Does it maintain it? Because if it maintains it, you're onto something. If it drops off quickly, suddenly you've got a problem.
Agreed, yeah.
Although I doubt, knowing the material they're working with and the cast and how passionate the people involved are, I can't see this being anything other than a continued hit.
No, I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, good from my perspective.
Yeah. But that is all the news we have for you this week, and we like to round out every single show with This Week in Video Game History. So starting on the 18th of April, because that is the day we're recording, does anything jump out to you, Rob?
Stronghold 2. Immediately.
Stronghold 2?
Yeah. Stronghold 2 PC, 20 years ago.
Right, I'm going to give you a second to talk about Stronghold 2, but before I do that, I need to take the piss out of you, because you missed Super Metroid.
No, I didn't. I looked at Super Metroid, and then I saw Stronghold 2, and I was like, Stronghold 2 is the one for me. Castle build
Go
all
on,
the way.
Tell us about Stronghold 2, because everyone knows about Super Metroid 31 years ago.
So I think Stronghold was a Firaxis title originally, and it's basically just like a medieval castle builder, which, you know, from like the OG of kind of PC gaming, isometric, just a brilliant, chilled out game. You can like spend hours building up your castle, sending your peasants off to die, and yeah, it was just brilliant. I really want another Stronghold title. So there's like we got up to 3 and then binned it, I think. Wonderful title for anybody who wants to enjoy his castle builders.
So Stronghold was made by Firefly Studios, which are part of since 2021 and now part of Devolver Digital. They are still going. So Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition is listed as 2025 and will release in September. So they're still going.
Yeah.
A definitive edition of Stronghold was released in 2023. They are, apart from some random titles like Wonky Tower and Roman's Age of Caesar, they've mainly been working on Stronghold for their entire existence.
Yeah, it's definitely not Stronghold Definitives, like, it's fine for what it is.
They co-developed Civ City Rome.
Yeah,
back in 2006.
Yeah, they're involved in all those kind of titles. But no, if you've never played Stronghold before and you want like a really simple, low resource game for your PC, give it a go. You'll lose a few hours in it, I guarantee it. I
feel like we might hear about... I don't know why, I think we might hear about Stronghold 4. They're very much still invested in that IP. They've brought the Definitive Edition in 2023. They bring out the Definitive Edition of Crusader in 2025. It feels like the industry is now back into accepting these sort of titles.
Yeah,
these kind of passion project ones. So I feel like a Stronghold 4 could... my bet we'd see at Game Awards if it's going to happen soon. But
yeah, that's a good shout. But no, I'd love a new one.
Yeah, I picked up Super Metroid. I'm not going to talk about Super Metroid because if you need me to talk about Super Metroid, what you need to do is go play Super Metroid.
Like one final shout out for me is Tabletop Simulator. I know it's like it's a bit kind of like non-glamorous, but you basically get like access to every other tabletop game you could want to play, just in one super simple kind of Steam purchase. Yeah. So that's really good as well. 18th of April is not bad yet. One thing I find absolutely insane is Metal Slug in the arcade came out 2 years after Super Metroid. Yeah, I looked at that and I was like, is that right? Never would have guessed that. Yeah, and I was like, is that like a remake kind of quirk or something? But no, it looks like it's... I don't know, it's 29 years ago. I think that was when Metal Slug in the arcade came out. Yeah, so it looks legit. Yeah, we got Portal 2, came out 14 years ago. We're still waiting on Portal 3. But there again, Valve don't do the fair entries of games. No, that's true. No. But no, like 18's a pretty good day. Yeah, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale, 8 years ago. Yeah. That's not a bad day. Not a bad day at all. I think it's been one of the stronger days of recent shows. Have a quick look on the 19th, see if anything jumps out. Psychonauts on the PC. Yeah, I had a look at the 19th. It's just not as strong. No, it's not. Not on the 20th. Seems fairly quiet as well. Mother 3 came on the Game Boy Advance. Okami came out on the PS2 19 years ago. But strong day, the 18th, though. God of War 7 years ago on the PlayStation 4. Wow, okay. That game's 7 years old, Rob. Still haven't played Ragnarok either. That's insane. Like that's one of the things that makes you feel old when like God of War came out 7 years ago. It's like, yeah, it hits a bit, doesn't it? Yeah. But that is all we have time for you this week. If you've liked the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you're kept in the loop of all of our fantastic content here at GamerGuildTV. If you want to join the conversation any further, we have a Discord server. The links are in the description below, as are all of our socials. Make sure you follow us on at GamerGuildTV everywhere. My name's been Richie. And I've been Rob. GG everyone, goodbye. Thank you, goodbye.